Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, The Inked Reader. Today I am filming my July TBR. I'm gonna pick up a random shelf and then in the end I'm gonna tell you about the comics that I plan to read in the month. I'm not sure I got time to film the comic part, so you might see me in a different outfit for the comics TBR, but I've done rules and videos about what the shelf TBR is. It's gonna be linked down below. And without further ado, let's get into picking a shelf and going through it. As always, I'm gonna input 21 and I'm gonna click generate. Shelf 18. I have to do it again. I've already read shelf 18.
2,000 years later.
Finally, we got a winner, which is number 7. I've been here. I've probably clicked on these, I don't know, 20 times. I understand because just a few shelves are left. Shelf number 7 is up there. It's the yellow books. I'm gonna try and see how I can show you. I'm gonna probably climb on the ladder and attempt these. Okay guys, this is what it looks like. I'm gonna remove a bit of the stuff and then we're gonna go through the things I've read and things I have to read. Starting off from the Silence of the Girls, which I've not read and I have to read. Then here I've got 2 books that the author kindly sent me, and now I have read the first 2. So I've read this one, Weeping Wolf, but I have not read Lion Cub, so maybe I can get around to this month. Jack Kerouac, On the Road, I have read. Well, Assassin, this one I've not read because it's like number 14 in the series, but I'm not there in the series, so I won't have to read it. The Bedlam Stacks I've not read, so I'm gonna have to read it. I'm gonna leave it there. The Outsiders I've not read. Okay, I've not read Heart of Darkness. We'll have to read it. A lot of unread books. Roadside Picnic, looking forward to this. Sci-fi, not read this one. The 1000th Floor I've not read, but I did read Animal Farm. Sorry guys, going through these quite quickly because it's very uncomfortable and it's very up high and my arms hurt. The Midnight Library I've not read, so we'll have to read it. Mother for Dinner I've not read, so we'll have to read it. Everything I Never Told You I've read, but I've not read Daisy Jones and the Six. We Are Completely Beside Ourselves, not read. Secret's a book that I personally didn't love, but I purchased the sequel just because of how stunning it looks. It's Heart of the Sun Warrior. Carry On! Finally, I'll get around to read this one. I'll Give You the Sun I've read. But I've not read Salem's Lot, which is one of the King's books I'm really looking forward to read, so happy about these. This one, To Dark Reigns, I'm not sure if it's a 3rd book, in that case I won't have to read it, or if it's the 2nd book, in that case I will have to read it, so check. I have to read this one if it's not the 3rd, because I need to read the 2nd book in the series, so I will check. And The Turn of the Key I have read. Okay guys, I'm gonna put this in order a bit and then show you the books properly. I'm sorry, it's so hot, I'm literally dripping sweat, so apologies, I know it's not the best. Look, so books, this is one of the most unread shelves I have thus far, I believe, full of green, full of yellow and orangey books. So without further ado, I'm gonna go into the synopsis of these books that I'm gonna attempt to read. Now, there are too many of them for me to actually read them, but I'm gonna attempt as many of them as possible. First one I picked up now is The 1000th Floor. This is a YA that was going around a few years back, and I believe that it's kind of like a dystopian world. It takes place in 2118, New York City, where basically you got this building where, you know, the upper you live, the more rich you are, and especially you follow one of these rich girl that has everything, however she can't get the only thing she really wants. I remember someone saying that this is kind of like a dystopian Gossip Girl, but I can be completely wrong. I will let you know more when I read it. It just sounds like the lower you get in this building, the more the people are struggling economically. So it's just like commentary on society, but done in like in a palace, where a whole palace is a whole economic system in a sense. So we will see. Then I've got Roadside Picnic. This is a sci-fi which I hardly reach out for. However, for some reasons this came highly praised by people that I really trust their review of, so I wanted to give it a try. And this is about this man who's a stalker. I think it's an unfortunate name that we associate with something else, but in this world he is basically someone who goes in a endangered zone where aliens that have invaded Earth have left some material, and so he goes there and gets these artifacts and then sells them illegally in the black market. And his daughter, she has some deformations because of her exposure to the zone, and this man now makes one final journey into this endangered zone to find something that could potentially save his daughter. Don't know anything else about this. It's not too long, and I'm actually generally curious to see if I can appreciate a proper sci-fi. Heart of Darkness. This is a classic that is highly controversial, and I've heard conflicting things about these, in the sense that this is the story of this man who travels in Africa in the heart of the jungle looking for something, and I heard it's full of racism and it's very problematic. I don't know if there is a message behind this, so I will read it and then make up my mind for it. Yes, I will consider what period this was written in, but what I wish to know by reading this is getting to the core of the book, in the sense that is there a message behind, is there like a social commentary done, or nothing of the sort. We will see. It's very, very short. Let's see if I can put up with it. Then I've got what is considered the first YA classic novel. This is The Outsiders, and you follow different like teen gangs that are rival against each other, and one point I think one of them takes things too far, and you're gonna look at the consequences of that. Don't know anything else about these. I don't want to know anything else about these. I know that there is probably a movie out, so I might check out the book first, see how I feel about it, and then see if I want to check out more. This doesn't have a synopsis, so apologies, I can't really tell you much. This is a charity find, and all I remember is this takes place in it's a historical fiction, but it's also like an adventure where you follow these men going and in the jungle or somewhere quite exotic to try and find some stuff, like he's an archaeologist or something of the sort. I don't know anything else about this. We will see. I will probably give you a better synopsis in this case once I read this. Then I have got The Silence of the Girls. This is a historical fiction where you actually follow the story of Briseis. In Italian we would say Briseide, but here it's called Briseis. Sorry if I'm butchering it, but this is a girl that is being taken by Achilles as a trophy when he invades Troy, when he gets to the shore of Troy. And the history, has spoken a lot about Troy and the kidnapping of Ellen, but has not spoken about Briseis much, who is being used and passed among, soldiers in the camp, and she's usually forgotten in the story. But this book actually focuses on her and her own story. So looking forward to reading this historical fiction, which has been shortlisted for the Women Prize Fiction for 2019, and I did hear amazing things about this. So really looking forward to these. And I think I'm going to attempt to read. It's the continuation of a series that kindly has been sent to me. The first 3 books have been sent to me by the author, and he very, very kindly also signed this and put a date on. This is book number 3. I'm not sure if there are 4 books. I'm sure about 4 books out, but I'm not sure if there is a 5th one out. And in the first one, you kind of follow the invasion of the Roman Empire of the Celtic people. And in the first one, you follow a female warrior, and now with the books progress, you follow descendants of the protagonists of the first books. So this is a military fantasy with a historical vibe to it, and I really, really like his writing. This is massive though, so I hope I can get around to this in July. I can't promise, but I will try my best. Rainbow Rowell, Carry On. This is Rainbow Rowell retelling of Harry Potter, but in this case it's a kind of like, it's not fan fiction of Harry falling in love with Draco, but kind of. It's a retelling of Harry Potter, and it's a male-male romance, I believe. But initially they are arch enemies, and I've heard that they are like super hateful toward each other, and this is hilarious and super cute. So yeah, looking forward to reading Carry On. I think like a movie or a TV show is coming out, so right on time. I'm gonna read attempt to, maybe, we will see, the Heart of a Sun Warrior, which is the sequel to the Daughter of a Moon Goddess. And I didn't love the first book, and I would have never purchased it if it wasn't for the Fairy Special Edition that looks like $1,000,000. It's just too good. It was just too good to pass on. I just couldn't say no to these, and so I got it. I might as well read the sequels. In the first book, has been a while since I've read it, but you have this girl, she is the daughter of the moon goddess, as the title suggests, and she's been kept secret by her mother all her life because her mother has been exiled on the moon and she's not supposed to have children, while our main protagonist, one day something happens to her mother and she needs to go and save her, and she infiltrates the kingdom of the rival Sun Kingdom or something of the sort. So she infiltrates the kingdom, she sells herself someone who's just a maid that can help around the palace, and she creates a bond with the prince and another guy, which is like the captain of the guards, I believe, and you just follow her adventures and her trying to find, powers within herself to save her mother and stop this curse that her mother has been binded to for centuries. And yeah, the way that ended didn't warrant a sequel, in my opinion, but I've got it. It looks so good. It looks so good, and I might as well read it at this point. Another charity finding that I have owned for ages and never got around to visit. We are all completely beside ourselves, and this I purchased in the time where I was reading like The Fault in Our Stars and Wonder and like books like that. This is the story of this girl that her sister disappears or something happens to her sister, and she kind of never tries to think about that until one day something happens that will make her sit back and think about the time she went to her grandparents' house, and when she came back home to her parents' house, her sister had gone. And it feels like a very contemporary, hard-hitting, impactful read. I've read recently like a hard-hitting contemporary, the female of a species, and I really enjoyed it. So I am potentially looking forward to reading another one of the genre. It's not the same concept, but I think there's going to be grief and loss, and hopefully also like a message of recovery in it. We will see. Guys, this is insane. Like there's no way I can read all of these books. There's like 15 of them, 20 of them. Daisy Jones and the Six. I want to check out the TV show, so I need to read these. I really enjoyed The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, as the majority of us have. And this is the story of Daisy. It's a story of her band, how she put together the band, and how her romantic relationship within the band and just, drama within the band then caused them to split and go separate ways. And yeah, it's a story of a musician that one time made it big with her band, and then things ended up in shambles. We will see, and then I'll check out the TV show, I believe, if I like the book. Then I've got The Midnight Library. This is the story of Nora. Nora is on her last day of life, don't know why, and she suddenly finds herself in this library. And in this magical library, she can relive her choices and make different ones to see where her life would have gone if she had made different choices. The premise sounds amazing. I know that it's a very divisive book where some people loved it, some people hated it, and what it stood for. I want to make up my own mind, and I will read it and see. One that I'm very much looking forward to, and it looks very pretty, is Mother for Dinner, and the premise of this really captivated me when I found this in a bookshop a year ago. And this is the story of the last cannibal American family, where they got this tradition where someone passes away in their family and they will consume their flesh as a tradition and as a form of respect for whoever just passed away. Mother has passed away, and she has 12 descendants, 12 children and grandchildren, I believe, maybe, that have to come together and decide if they want to keep up with tradition or not, considering that some of them are vegan. And then I guess there is going to be like a debate, and then a lot of family dynamics that we're going to look at. And yeah, it's blurred by a lot of very popular, like very famous journals and so on. And the premise, just what we're going to do with that. Imagine, like, what you're going to do with that. Then I've got Salem's Lot. This is, I believe, King's take on vampires and witches. I'm not sure, it's both of them, and it's about this writer who goes back to his hometown after some traumatic events from the past, he decides to go back there to write a novel, and lo and behold, creepy stuff starts to happen again. I don't want to know anything else about these. I know there are vampires in it, and I'm very curious to see what take King's has on them, because I believe it's going to be unique. Looking forward to these, especially because a lot of people that love King really praise this book among, like, you know, some of his best work, because it's also some of his oldest work. And on a positive note, in a sense, because this is already so massive, I won't have to read Half Lost and Two Dark Reigns, because they are both the third book in a trilogy, which I've not read the second of. So these ones go back on the shelf.
Day 2.
Okay, filming these on another day where I've got a bit more energies. My TBR for comics, it's gonna be ambitious a bit. I got 13, I believe, things on here. The majority of things I've ordered, so are not with me yet while I'm filming these, but that's okay. I'm gonna insert pictures here. So the first thing I'm gonna read is a palette cleanser, something easy and fun that I've always loved. This is Adventure Time. I need to read volume 7. I am not 100% sure how many volumes are out there. I am not very much interested in watching the animations of these. Am I not? I know that the page I'm showing you is in black and white, but this is not the usual art. The usual art is more like this colorful one, and really this is about Jack and Finn going on an adventure in this fantastical world, and it's the colors, it's the humor, it's just also like the very important, simple but important messages that this graphic novel contains. Yes, it is aimed toward like young adults to like older children, but I don't care. I enjoy this throughout, and it's always a good time. Now, you will probably not know these until you've watched my wrap-up for the month, but this month, so in June, I did finish The Sandman, the 10 main volumes. However, there are 3, I believe there are 3 spin-offs, of which I own just one, and at this point I own it. It's very fresh in my mind, everything that happened, and I thought it was the right time of, you know, of the year to read these. Will I acquire the other 2 spin-offs? I'm not sure. I'm not in any rush, but definitely I want to read everything I own. And this is The Sandman, The Endless Nights. I don't know what this is about precisely. I believe there might be short stories, so self-contained stories, but I don't know anything else. I don't know if we are more like focusing on the siblings of Morpheus or whatever. I'm gonna let you know once I read it. However, The Sandman is a very popular from the 90s horror graphic novel following Morpheus, the god of dreams, who's been captured by humans by mistake, and he has been now in prison for around 70 years when he manages to get free, and he goes back to his kingdom, the dream kingdom, and he tries to put it together, and he also tries to kind of undo the damage that has been done while he was away. And you follow different characters, different stories, with him as a thread in all of these stories coming together, and he is at times episodic, where you might follow different stories initiating, concluding, but it does come all together in the end. And Morpheus has siblings that are called the Endless, which are not really gods, are like entities, like death, desire, and destruction and so on, and so his dream. And I'm pretty sure that some of the spin-offs will follow the siblings and the sibling stories, but I'm not convinced about this one, so I'm not sure if this is the one about the Endless or not. We will see. And then I have got Morning Glories. This is something that I've bought and never read 7 years ago, and it was badly damaged, and I think I reimbursed this, so I got this for free in the end, but I'm not sure. At the time I was complaining less. Now I'm definitely more of a bitch when my books come in and they are not in perfect conditions. Anyway, Morning Glories, thriller suspense series graphic novel that has been on a hiatus after volume 10, so I'm reaching the end, and it's about this bunch of kids that are very talented and academically skilled, and they are whisked off to this prestigious school apparently for their talent, but in reality the whole school is a prison which we can't leave. It's crazy, it's full of twists. I can't spoil exactly what genre this is, but there is more to it than a simple thriller story. Then I actually found for pretty cheap the first volume of Hell's Paradise that some of you viewers recommended to me highly, so I decided to pick it up. And I don't know much about this manga, which I believe is only 13 volumes long, and you just follow these 2 characters in the Edo period in Japan trying to find the elixir to immortality. I don't know what to expect. I don't know anything else about these, but I'm curious, and I've read some reviews which were brilliant, saying that this is, you know, an amazing series and I want to try out for myself. I am gonna read Monstrous Volume 6, which is the second to last volume that is currently out of this steampunk dark fantasy series where you follow two races, humans and arcanics, that are now post-war, but the tensions are still very high. The war might be coming back, and specifically you got this arcanic who is our main protagonist, Micah, trying to find out what really happened to her mother, who was looking for specific artifacts linked to gods, and also she has a very powerful dark force inside of her that she has to reconcile herself with. So yeah, I've been loving Monstrous, the world, the characters, the art, and it's really grown on me this year, and I am approaching the point where unfortunately we'll have to wait for volumes to come out, which I'm a bit scared of, because Monster is an extremely layered, complex plot, which if I don't read for a while, I might forget important stuff about it, just because it's a lot of information to retain. So yeah, not looking forward to having to wait for other volumes to come out, but hey, it is what it is. I'm gonna also read the second to last volume of Summertime Rendering. I wanted to purchase both, but they're very expensive, so this month I just purchased one. And this is another thriller suspense series, manga series, with only 6 volumes in total in the UK edition that I know of. I think these are the only edition you can purchase in UK at least. And this is the story of this guy who's used to living on an island, and then he moved to the mainland just to go to school or find a job. But then one of his dear friends from his childhood passes away, so he goes back to the island to go and attend the funeral, and when he goes there he finds out that his friend has died under mysterious circumstances and something very sinister is going on in the island. So he decides to stay and investigate, and it's very entertaining, it's full of suspense, and for now I'm really enjoying it, so looking forward to come toward the conclusion of this. Lore Olympus Volume 4, I had no idea this was out, my bad. I am of course gonna read this retelling of Hades and Persephone legend in a very modern, contemporary style, and this contains everything like important messages, amazing characters, and absolutely some of the most stunning art style that I personally clicked with that I've seen in a long period of time. So Lore Olympus is perfect, it's perfection, and I've been loving the first 3 volumes, and I'm expecting to love this as well. Fire Punch, I believe I need to read volume 5. I'm gonna check. It's the one that it's here. It's the one I need to actually read, and this is from the same creator of Chainsaw Man. It's a series that he put out before with a total of 8 volumes, and you follow Agni and his sister at the very beginning of the manga, trying to survive a war that, due to some humans that have power, one of them specifically has used these powers to freeze over Earth. So people are starving, and Agni and his sister are trying to keep people in their small village alive. And they do them in a very gruesome way, which I'm not gonna go into because spoilers, until someone else comes in the village and brings even more mayhem to them. And it is a revenge story, but it's a very weird one, as we would expect from the creator of Chainsaw Man. It is very bleak dystopian horror fantasy, and I know I've not been loving this as I loved Chainsaw, and I think it has to do with the characterization. However, it's growing more interesting, and this man, his mind and how he works, I'm fascinated by it. Vinland Saga, book number 5 I need to read. Book number 4 ended up on a huge, like, massive twist, and I do want to continue on with this historical fiction Viking manga. And you especially follow Thorfinn, who is a child who's been raised by his enemy after they killed in front of him his father, and he grew up with the idea of, I'm gonna become stronger than my enemy, stronger than the guy who raised me, so then I can beat him in a fair and square duel. And he's been trying to defeat this enemy, arch enemy, who also raised him at the same time, as I said, for a long while when we started this. And we also follow the expansion of the Vikings in England and the research of Vinland, so the perfect land to settle in. So yeah, it's been praised a lot, Vinland Saga. You probably have read or heard about these, and yeah, I am loving this. I am absolutely in awe of what's been created, and yeah, I'm gonna continue on. I thought it's so expensive. Why it's so expensive? I understand it looks very nice, like hardcover, it's 2 volumes in one, plus there is like an additional story at the end, which I care zero about. So if I have one critique about Vinland Saga, the books, is why adding that story in? I don't like it. But apart from that, it is pretty expensive, but it does look stunning on the shelves. Finally, continue on with JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. This is gonna be part 2. The first volume in part 2, which I believe we follow the descendants of some of the protagonists of, you know, the first trilogy in JoJo. JoJo is something that I've started, loved. Second volume was, whoa, so bad. And then third volume I really, really enjoyed. And the ending, it is bizarre, as the title suggests. And you just follow, I think, different sagas with different characters. And all of these characters, though, have very peculiar powers, and it's a unique style that the mangaka has, and some people love it, some people hate it, and for now I am really enjoying it. It's just a very good time. So yeah, I'm continuing with JoJo's Little Bird, which I purchased. It should be on its way. However, I need to check that it's in English, because on Amazon it's also sold on, you know, the French version, I just noticed, which wouldn't be ideal. I believe this might be like a standalone, 1 to 5 issues, so 5 issues in total collected in these. And you just, the synopsis is very vague, and it just says you follow a young resistance fighter trying to survive in an oppressive American empire. However, I have in my mind the idea that this was about something else, but I can't tell you until I read it. Like, someone told me that this is an allegory, or this is based on, you know, another idea of something that it's a bit more complex than just a resistant fighter in a dystopian America. But yeah, I will read it and let you know. Unfortunately, it's not in my hands yet, so I can't show you. But yeah, it's a title that I came across just by researching stuff to read, especially graphic novels, things that I might be interested in. So yeah, we will see how this goes. Sorry, I almost forgot. Very important ones. I'm gonna try and read another couple of volumes of One Piece. So I'm gonna read volume 5 and volume 6. Now, I know that there is an enemy that they are fighting in these, and that's why I'm trying to potentially like read a couple of volumes, because I don't know if it's gonna be done in only one more volume, because it's already 2 volumes that I believe, or 1 or 2 volumes that they're fighting that guy. So I want to make sure that I can get the anime done, so that's why I'm gonna read a couple of volumes. And also it's a massive series, so if I don't speed up, I will never be finishing with One Piece. But yeah, pirate story about Luffy trying to find the ultimate treasure and become the ultimate pirate. And Luffy, our main protagonist, is putting together a crew, and he also has some very weird powers after he consumed the special fruit. And in case you have not read these, probably impossible, but in case people don't know, I'm not gonna spoil what kind of powers he has, but let's say that it's just inconvenient for a pirate, the consequences of this choice. Yes, he's got awesome powers, but there is something that he can't do as a consequence of getting these powers, which sucks if you are a pirate. But yeah, so far hilarious, very funny, and yeah, it's very famous for a reason. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna attempt to read in the month of June, both books and manga. But yeah, I do also plan to do a kind of a marathon of a series. Let's see how it goes in July. I probably might have to do it in August, but we will see. We'll see how it goes. And yeah, I'll see you next time. If you're new, why not subscribe? I wouldn't mind. Let me know what you're gonna read in the month of July, any plans, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Take care of yourself. Ciao.